In May 1989, the very first chapter of Masamune Shirow's Ghost in the Shell was released, and the fate of both cyberpunk fiction and trans girls everywhere was forever changed. This groundbreaking cyberpunk story took place in a futuristic Japan, overrun by corporations, crime, and cybernetics. The manga followed the badass and beautiful Major Motoko Kusanagi as she and her counter-terrorist unit Section 9 undertook various missions in the war against cybercrime. But what made Ghost in the Shell so special was the themes it was willing to tackle. This isn't your average police procedural story. This is a story about transhumanism, identity, and humanity's relationship with technology. What does it mean to be human? If you replace your entire body with cybernetics, are you still a person in the end? Are gay people real? The manga's success eventually led to an anime movie adaptation in 1995. I say adaptation in massive air quotes because while the movie shares mostly the same plot as the manga, it also has a much bleaker tone. Seriously, movie Kusanagi needs to look into getting some cybernetic antidepressants, god damn. But all jokes aside, the movie is phenomenal. It became a massive success, not only in Japan, but also in the West, and helped lead to the veritable explosion of anime's popularity that we now see today. Yeah, all those anime that you like nowadays, you have Major Kusanagi to thank for those. And Tetsuo. And Goku. If you can't already tell, I am a massive nut for Ghost in the Shell. I love everything about this series. I love the music, I love the characters, I love the vibes, I love the stories. I especially love Major Kusanagi! I'm calm. It's for this reason I wanted to talk about the original Ghost in the Shell game, released all the way back in 1997. Now, licensed games have a bit of a reputation of being terrible, but maybe this game can shed that stigma. Anyway, let's fire up our cyber brains and activate autistic mode. Yes, that's a real thing. As we talk about Ghost in the Shell on the PlayStation 1. But first, hello! My name's Knight, evil supervillain extraordinaire. You may have heard of me. I'm here to take over the world with the power of VTubing. If you'd like to see more videos talking about retro games, modern games, and whatever I feel like talking about, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, back to the video.
Ghost in the Shell is the next generation of animated feature entertainment.
1997 saw the release of Ghost in the Shell for the PlayStation 1. This game, while not massively successful during its day, has gone on to become a bit of a cult classic because it's just really freaking cool, dude! This game was developed by Exact, the same developers as the very early 3D platformer Jumping Flash. If you've never heard of Jumping Flash, well, you're not alone, but trust me, it's important to our story. This game saw you take control of a funny little robotic rabbit who could jump around environments in glorious early PS1 3D. Apparently, Masamune Shirow himself played this game, and he thought it was so good that he requested that a Ghost in the Shell version be made of it. Hey, the man's got good taste, alright? But Knight Paradox, you may be saying. How could they take a game about being a funny little robotic rabbit jumping around 3D environments and turn it into a game about Ghost in the Shell? Oh, ye of little faith. Let me introduce you to everybody's favorite walking death tanks, the Fuchikomas. These oh-so-adorable walking death machines are a major part of both the Ghost in the Shell manga and the movie, and they made for a perfect way to adapt many of Jumping Flash's systems. The developers pretty much took the main character of Jumping Flash and glued a couple Gatling guns to him. Work smarter, not harder. This game sees you assume the role of a new recruit for Section 9. Finally! My lifelong dream of working for Major Kusanagi can be fulfilled! You're thrust straight into the action as you and the rest of Section 9 head out to defeat the terrorist group, the Human Liberation Front, who have taken responsibility for bombing a major corporate building. Are we sure these are the bad guys? Anyway, as is so often the case with stories like these, not everything is as it seems at first, and the story grows in scope as the game continues. Sort of. This game really doesn't place much of an emphasis on the story, but that's fine, because the gameplay more than makes up for it. What makes Ghost in the Shell 1997 stand out is definitely the controls. The left analog stick is not used to move like you may expect. All it can do is rotate the Fuchikoma left to right. Holding the left or right trigger down will strafe the Fuchikoma in that direction, and holding both down will make it zoom forward. The Fujikoma can also latch onto walls and ceilings, and this game makes sure to take advantage of that at every opportunity it can get. Combined with the ability to jump, this makes the Fujikoma one of the most maneuverable vehicles I've controlled in any game. By the end of the game, you're going to be flying all over the place, and it's insanely exhilarating. It all sounds really confusing, and at first it really is, but once you get the hang of it, it's awesome. The beauty of this control system is that it feels the way a Fujikoma should feel to control, based on how they were depicted in the source material. These are giant tanks that can strafe around incredibly quickly, and this game nails that aspect. This game really makes you feel like a Fujikoma. Of course, the Fujikoma isn't just fast. It's also armed to the teeth with 2 miniguns and homing missile launchers. Thankfully for you, and your fingers, the actual gunplay is incredibly simple. As long as there's an enemy in your general line of sight, you'll target them automatically. The only issue is, to fire the miniguns, you can't just hold the button down. You have to mash square for each individual volley of minigun bullets. So, rest in peace to your fingers, actually. Thankfully, the missile launchers only require you to hold the button down and release it to fire. That's something, at least. This game is centered entirely around those gameplay systems, and there isn't much else to it. There are only 12 levels, each with different objectives to complete and environments to explore. In one mission, you'll be racing around the level defusing bombs before the time runs out. In another, you take to the seas on the fastest speedboat known to man as you face off against— oh shit, it's a Gundam! While the game does get a little visually samey, it isn't a huge deal because it's so fast-paced and short. The game is only about 2 hours long, and the only replay value to speak of is in the form of chasing after high scores, in typical arcade game style. However, those 2 hours are packed with some of the most unique and exhilarating gameplay you will ever experience. But it's not just the gameplay that excels here. Ghost in the Shell 1997 is killer in the aesthetics department. This game is a total vibe. As soon as you start the game, you're smacked in the face with this amazing anime opening and some killer 90s techno beats. This gets you so hyped to play almost immediately, and oh my god, I'm so gay. There's a whole 10 minutes of original anime cutscenes in this game. I promise, that was a whole lot in 1997. They're animated by the same studio as the 1995 movie, and they even feature the same voice cast. In the English dub, anyway. These scenes are beautifully animated and super expressive, which is incredible when you consider that these are compressed into crunchy 160p quality. A really cool aspect is that they're animated with the art style of the original manga, not the movie. Until the 2026 anime, this was the only time Ghost in the Shell was ever animated in this style, and as a huge fan of Masamune Shirow's art, this is really cool. Also, Major Kusanagi is so goddamn hot in this art style. I am not beating the gay allegations. This game's soundtrack also deserves a mention. It's actually a mixtape full of 90s trance, techno, acid techno, industrial techno, Belgian techno. I have no idea what I'm even reading anymore, but anyway, it's sick as hell is the point. Not only is this the perfect soundtrack for a game set amongst a cyberpunk dystopia, but it also goes hard as fuck and is the perfect complement to all the fast-paced action you're going to be experiencing. If you take nothing else away from this video, at least go give the soundtrack a listen. Trust me, it's worth it. Overall, Ghost in the Shell 1997 is a unique and fun game that clearly had a lot of love put into it. It's short, but it's oh so sweet, with gameplay that's hard to learn but so much fun to master. The game is a roller coaster ride all the way through and has stuck in my mind ever since I streamed it a couple months ago. Plus, you can't deny the sheer amount of style oozing from every orifice of every background song and every anime cutscene. I think you should run to eBay right now and purchase your very own copy. Maybe just pirate it.